Hey everybody, Grommel's here with another small simulator battle video. This time I want to take a look at the fight from the Battle of Iwo Jima event we had on Wednesday. Well then, as always, let's start with taking a look at the lineup we had for this event. For the US side, we have, since this is a battle that took place later in the war, all the FRU Corsair variants and the Hellcat as fighters. For the dive and torpedo bombers, we have the DBF Avenger and the SBD Dauntless, and also the BDT Destroyer. Not sure what the Destroyer is doing in an Iwo Jima event, but it seems premium planes often get a free pass here. And there's also the B-24D as a level bomber in the US lineup. Now, for the Japanese side, we have all the A6M3 and A6M50 variants as fighters, the B5N and B7A torpedo and dive bombers, and the G4M for level bombers. Iwo Jima is also one of those events where the team sizes are not even. The maximum team sizes in this event are for the US team 13 players and 16 for the Japanese side. And as I mention pretty much every time I show an event with such a difference in team sizes, I think it is unnecessary in a simulator battle mode to have such uneven teams, especially when you don't play at prime time. This often causes problems, since the matchmaking seems to have problems adjusting for smaller teams in general. If you have the full 13 versus 16 teams at prime time, 3 is not that much, though still more than I think would be necessary. But when you don't play at prime time, team sizes are often only half that, and you end up playing 6 versus 9, and that becomes just a very large difference that is pretty hard to overcome. Despite that though, I had a good time flying in this event. I have to say, I in general enjoy the Pacific War scenarios a lot in simulator battle mode. I flew a few matches in this event, some in the M5 Zeros, which in my opinion are the Zeros with the currently best flight models. The lower ones like the M2 have some issues. And also a match in the Corsair. All nice little matches, but the most interesting fight in my opinion was surprisingly the one I flew in the SBD-3 Dauntless dive bomber, and that is the one I want to show you in this video. Now, the battle did not start out great for me, since the attacking US fleet is in the middle of the map and the secondary objective, the kamikaze planes, are coming in more from the west. I figured that most of the fighters will be focused in the middle and west of the map, and I decided to fly an arc to the east and bomb and strafe the beach defenses coming in from the northeast. However, while I'm doing so, I can hear a fighter approaching, and I see an enemy plane that I assumed at first is a Zero climbing up to me. And I figure I better drop my bombs to fight this guy, but just as I do so, I notice that it is just an AI biplane. So I just dropped my bombs because of an AI plane. That was unnecessary and annoyed me a little bit, and I didn't even keep recording while I disposed of the AI. However, shortly after that things improved. When I was on my way back getting new bombs, I flew right into a fight between a real Zero and 2 Corsairs, and I decided to help out. With the Corsairs being there, that's not very risky, and I figured when I can keep the Zero turning, the Corsairs have an easier time attacking the more maneuverable Zero, even if I don't get the Zero. However, with the Zero having to focus on multiple targets at this point, I don't think he noticed me right away, and I can get a few hits in with the 250 cals that the Dauntless has in the nose while he leveled out, and then turn after him when he starts to evade. Now, I'm not sure if I did some damage to his elevators or if he assumes I am another Corsair that can't turn that well, but he's not turning quite as tight as a Zero could in theory, and I can stay on him. After he levels out a bit, I get a good opportunity for a deflection shot and I get his fuel tanks. Now, with that Zero going down, I want to go back to my original plan, return to the fleet and land on a carrier and get new bombs, and then do what I had originally intended to do. Fly around the east side of the map and attack the beach from the northeast. While flying back, I fly over the US invasion fleet just in case that I see a suitable target to bounce on my way back, like an enemy torpedo bomber going for the fleet. But I can't spot anything and I continue on. Shortly after, a Zero bounces me and I have to take some evasive action. I never really saw the attacker, only heard him, and it seems he lost sight of me after I took evasive action, as he is not coming in for a second attack. I later spot him at higher altitude, so I know it was indeed a Zero and not something else. Now, All that flying over the fleet and evading the Zero took some time. When I check how many players are still up, I see a grim picture. In the time since I shot down the Zero till now, all the friendly planes went down. I am the only one left. The enemy team has still 5 players up. Now that led to a change of plans. I no longer think that going back for more bombs and going for the beach defenses is going to do anything. While I fly back, the enemy team can easily kill all the landing craft and end the game. So I think the only chance I have to get anything done in this match now is to fly back and go on the offensive. I figure at least some of the enemy planes will go for the landing craft, and I hope I can surprise one while he is strafing them. And indeed I can spot at least one Zero going for the landing craft as I approach them. Now I don't know if the pilots on the opposing team know that I am flying a Dauntless, but I think they do because I've shot down a bot and the Zero, and I think at the moment that works to my advantage, as I don't think they are expecting me to show up here and attack in my dive bomber. The Zero I was going for turned around extremely tight, as Zeros do, and came back and passed below me before I could attack. I don't think he has seen me, but he must have heard me. But I think he assumed I'm another Zero when he did, as he keeps focusing on the boats. And as I noticed later, there are indeed 1 or 2 other Zeros also attacking the boats, and I can only assume they mistake me for the other Zero every time they hear me. This way I can stick with the Zero. I get behind him again, but just when I am about to open fire, the Zero again pulls a very sharp turn, which I can't quite follow, but again he goes for the landing craft instead. This time, when he is coming back around again, I want to try to intercept him and hopefully get the opportunity for a deflection shot. And I do get it, and some hits in, and one of them takes out the pilot. So that is one of the Zeros out of the fight, and what I want to do now is fly towards the friendly fleet and gain some distance and then come back with some more altitude and speed again. However, as I do so, another Zero comes in from the direction I wanted to go, and this one does see me. I fire a quick snapshot and then do a high yo-yo turn to the left. I hope as always that with starting to turn early I get an advantage and maybe get behind the Zero when he passes me. Now the Zero does not turn right away, so I do manage to get behind him, but he's also pretty fast and out of range right away. I hope I might be able to get a deflection shot on him when he turns around and comes my way again, but I don't get quite enough lead to do so. I turn after the Zero, but of course he can turn tighter and I'm running out of speed. I try a high yo-yo to maybe get the lead to fire, but it's not quite enough. So change of plans. I push the nose down to regain some speed and then change the direction to hopefully surprise the Zero when I come up from the other side. It seems though the Zero lost sight of me when I push the nose down, as he keeps turning and I can get behind him. However, I am pretty slow at this point and I can't catch up to the Zero, and I can't get close enough for effective fire. I fire a burst after him to hopefully get a hit and maybe make him turn again and get another opportunity for a deflection shot, but he keeps going straight toward the island and I don't want to keep following him there. But as I look to my left, I can see another Zero that apparently did not notice what is going on here and is attacking the landing craft. And I hope I might be able to take him out before the other Zero turns around and comes back. He's pulling up pretty sharp after he strafed the landing craft, and that gives me the opportunity to get in range to fire, and I start shooting. He turns to the right, but this time I'm a little faster than I was the last time, and I can keep up a little bit longer and get some hits on his tail. Not enough to take him down yet, but I did some damage to this Zero, and he's also flying towards the island now, and eventually crashes there a little bit later. I am at this point thinking of following him, but I can hear my tail gunner opening up and the other Zero is back and attacking, and I have to take evasive action. I turn into him. Since I am pretty slow, I hope I might be able to force an overshoot, but I don't manage it in time and take a hit. I reverse direction and again hope to force an overshoot. It's close but not quite enough and I take another hit. Maybe if I would have used the air brakes it would have been enough. Now, I got some holes in my elevator and lost some elevator authority. Also, my right wing has lost some lift. The plane has a tendency to roll now. In general, I lost some maneuverability. The Zero either took a hit as well or lost sight of me. Either way, he is not pressing the attack right away. However, there is yet another Zero coming in for an attack from my 1 o'clock position, and I can hear my tail gunner fire, so the other Zero is coming in as well. I pull up and do a wing over to the left, and I hope I might get a deflection shot on the Zero as he comes around. But I am too slow, and because my wing lost some lift, I can't keep the nose up high enough and my shots went under the target. I hope I at least startled him. Now I push the nose down again to regain some speed and start flying towards the friendly carriers. With my plane damaged, I of course want to head back to the carrier fleet and maybe repair the plane if I'm not followed all the way. So my plan is pretty simple. Try to fly towards the fleet, take evasive action when necessary, and then continue towards the fleet. Luckily, since the fleet moves towards the island, they are by now closer to me than they would have been earlier in the mission. Now, there were originally 5 enemy planes when I went to protect the landing craft. I got one, and the second one I shot up crashed. I don't know if he managed to reach an airfield, but for now he is out of the fight. A third plane crashed for unknown reasons, so now it's only 2 Zeros left. I keep looking back and try to spot them, but my visibility to the rear is not that good. I can see the ship's AAA fire, so I know at least one of the Zeros is still there, but I don't know how close. I don't want to start evasive maneuvers too early. I want to get as close to the carriers as possible first, so I keep looking back and trying to find them to see how close they are. I also hope the tail gunner firing will give me some warning, and indeed he does. And I start to turn to evade the attacking Zero. Because of the wing damage, my roll rate isn't very good, so the maneuver is a little sluggish. But it's good enough, it seems, and luckily it seems the Zero after passing me either lost sight of me or decides not to keep attacking. So I keep moving towards the fleet. Also, I just earlier received a mission complete message, and that means that even though the Zeros got quite a few of the landing craft, enough of them survived to make the landing a success. And that means that now the decision to go in and try to protect them pays off, because the ground troops will eventually take the objective, and that will decide the match in favor of my team. That will take a while, but eventually it's going to happen. So that puts the enemy teams on the clock. I just have to survive long enough. The Zeros did not press the attack right away. Maybe they originally decided to head back and repair and rearm as well, but changed their mind when it became clear that the US ground troops would win the match if I stay up long enough. Anyway, that gave me the opportunity to at least reach the carrier fleet, and if nothing else, I at least have some AA cover now. At this point, I hope the Zeros went back to rearm, and I might get a chance to land and repair my plane, but the AA firing soon makes clear that this is not the case. My tail gunner opens up again too, announcing a Zero coming in again. I wanted to evade by turning left and downwards into the enemy's attack, but with the plane's damage and the sluggish roll rate and elevator response, I don't quite manage to move out of his line of fire, and I take some more hits. Now the right aileron is almost gone and the right wing produces even less lift than before. I have to keep the stick almost fully to the left to keep the plane straight. So maneuvering to evade fire is not a real option anymore. Instead, I hope I might be able to evade further attacks by using the air brakes and making them overshoot, while using what little maneuverability I have left to keep janking and presenting as hard a target as possible. With the Dauntless being a lot slower than a Zero to begin with, that might just work. The problem is that with the limited visibility to the rear, it's hard to judge how close the attackers are and when to slow down. So the first time I tried it, I put the brakes out too late, and I have to retract them again right away. But at least by the sound of it, this Zero has only machine guns left. I did not hear any cannon fire. Now, by now the ground forces have neutralized the objective, so it is not much longer till they capture it, and I only have to stay up for a few more minutes. Now, judging by the AAA fire, the next attack will be coming from the left rear, but again I have trouble spotting the attack in time. When the gunner opens up, I at first try to roll left and evade in a downwards left turn, but the shot-up controls make this difficult. I put the brakes out again and the Zero passes me, but I think he broke off before I had the brakes off, so that didn't do a whole lot. He pulls up and passes above me, and then he comes down in a split S. Now I would have liked to follow him here in a split S of my own, but I don't manage to roll the plane around in time thanks to the damage, and the second Zero is coming in for a frontal attack. He passes me and then both Zeros turn after me. And when they come around, I try to push the nose down and evade by turning into them. Though you can see the plane isn't reacting very well anymore, and I have to fight the stick pretty hard, and I don't quite manage it in time, and I take a few more hits. Now I get holes in the other wing as well. When the first Zero tries to slot in behind me, I pull up and extend the air brakes to hopefully make him overshoot. And the Zero does overshoot and passes below me. He pulls up after passing below me and ends up in front and above me. I hope I might be able to get a shot at him when he comes down again, but then I hear the second Zero coming in, so I have to worry about that one first. I can see him disappear to my right and try to come around to turn to the left, but the plane rolls too slow. Still, the Zero is too fast and overshoots, and when he does I try to get a few hits on him. And I do get a hit, but not enough to do real damage, I think. Meanwhile, the other Zero is to my right and turning after me. I keep up the turn for a little bit, and after he gets his plane pointed at me and starts to fire, I roll around in an attempt to do a split S as good as I can with the damaged plane, which is not very good at all, to try to evade. Now I take one more hit, but I also get the message that the ground forces have taken the objective, and the points of the enemy team start ticking down. Now my plane is hardly reacting at all anymore, and I can't really evade anymore at all, and soon after that I take one last hit, which finishes my poor Dauntless off. But the plane held on long enough. While my plane went in, the enemy counter ticked down after the objective was captured, and the match was won. So, this is it for this round in the SBD Dauntless. I found this match quite exciting to play, and I hope it is also exciting to watch. It seems the most exciting games always happen in planes where you wouldn't expect it. Goes to show that you should not underestimate the good old SBD dive bomber. Well, and this is it for this video. As always, I hope it was entertaining, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you next time.